At the time of recording this video, What If Season 3 has ended. There are 11 official shows that are part of the MCU. Some good, some not so good. Let's rank them. Now, look, before we go into this, just a couple of things that you should know, a little bit of background on this video. Not that long ago, I put out a thread where I ranked the MCU shows. This is just after Agatha All Along came out. And needless to say, I got a little bit of heat for it. And I thought I would make this video to kind of explain my thinking a little bit more, and of course, to invite more criticism on another platform. Now, before we dive into it, there's a few things I'm going to clarify. On Threads, I did it as a list 1 through 11. What we're going to be doing is we're going to switch things up and we're going to be using tier maker. We're going to have an S tier, A tier, B, and C. Spoiler alert, there's only one show in the C tier. Now, second of all of these rankings are based on my own personal opinion. None of it is based on what reviewers think or what other people have told me to think. This is all on me. So if you agree with me, let me know in the comments, give this video a like. If you don't agree with me, then you know what? You're going to let me know in the comments anyway. Now, thirdly, I'm only including the shows that have been released on Disney Plus that are officially part of Phase 4 and 5 of the MCU. So what this means is that I'm not going to be covering the ABC shows, so Agent Carter, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., even though they've got a special place in my heart, they're not part of this list. I'm also not going to be including the Netflix series, so your Daredevil or the Defenders series. I'm not going to be using shows like Runaways, Cloak and Dagger. I'm not going to be doing Werewolf by Night either. And lastly, and this is the most controversial one, not going to include X-Men 97 either, even though it's probably the best thing that Marvel have done in recent times. It is fantastic, but technically it's not officially part of the MCU, even though I see you there watching it too. By the way, quick aside, should probably put a spoiler alert on this. If you haven't seen some of the earlier shows, you should have by now, but just be aware that especially with the newer ones, there may be spoilers. I'll try to avoid them, but you know. With that in mind, let's jump in and tackle these shows in the order of the release. And if you do enjoy this video, give it a like, a subscribe as well. We're working our way towards 500 subscribers on this channel. Let's start off with WandaVision, a TV show based around Wanda and Vision. And it was announced before Infinity War, so everyone was excited. And then Infinity War happens, and wait, Vision's gone. So what happens in the TV show? We see Wanda and Vision, they're together living an idyllic life, but they seem to be in a sitcom. And every episode of WandaVision, the sitcom changes up. So it starts off with sort of Dick Van Dyke, then it moves on to sort of those 60s style sitcoms, then through to like Malcolm in the Middle, through to the sort of mockumentary style of Modern Family and The Office. Darcy Lewis from the Thor series returns, Jimmy Woo from Ant-Man, and a grown-up Monica Rambeau comes back, and another MCU character returned. So one that died and comes back, and that's Quicksilver. But it's not Aaron Taylor-Johnson, it's Evan Peters. And that's the great thing about this show, is that throughout all of it, it's going, what is going on? And it just drip feeds a little bit more of the answer, a little bit more, and it is absolutely brilliant when it wraps up. This is a show that in its final episode, in its final boss fight, so to speak, has time for a philosophical debate. For me, WandaVision is the first one that goes straight into the S tier. Next up, Falcon and Winter Soldier. Set out with this one, Steve Rogers is no longer Captain America. End of Endgame, he had passed on his shield to Sam Wilson. So naturally, we're going to get a show all about Sam Wilson becoming Captain America, except it's called Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Right at the beginning of the show, Sam Wilson gives up Captain America's shield. We've also got a thing going on with this group called the Flag Smashers. We then have the US Army choosing one of their own, John Walker, to become the new Captain America. They also brought back Zemo, which I thought was great fun as well. It felt like a very stretched out movie. And I didn't quite agree with some of the decisions that were made. Like Sam giving up the shield felt like it was a bit of a slap in the face to Steve. I didn't like that they brought back Sharon Carter but turned her into the villain, the power broker. I found that hard to believe. There was little decisions like that where I was just like, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? Like at the time I enjoyed the show and I still think it's a good show. I just think some of the decisions were weird. And I did like the way that Falcon and Winter Soldier ended. I thought it did end on a high note as well. But overall, I just think it had its flaws. It wasn't fantastic. It's not one that I've gone back to revisit. So I'm going to stick it in B tier. Loki. It was announced before Infinity War, and we saw at the beginning of Infinity War the death of Loki. So this is really confusing. How are they going to have a series that stars Loki when he is dead? And do you know what? They did pretty well with that. Obviously, Endgame happens and we get this new version of Loki goes away because he gets the Tesseract. And then the TVA step in and they're like, hey, hang on a second. You are a variant. And all chaos ensues, and it is brilliant. They paired him up with jet ski loving Mobius, played by Owen Wilson, which was what a buddy cop pairing those two were. Absolutely love them. And he's tasked with finding a variant of Loki, Sylvie, and it's brilliant. That first season is so good. Second season, not quite as strong as the first season, but the way it ends, I think ends stronger than the first season. It is Loki, one of the best shows, and for that reason, it also belongs with WandaVision up in that S tier. What If? I love What If. I genuinely think it is incredible. It's so much fun to watch, seeing these alternate stories of the Avengers and our superheroes, whether it's party animal Thor, zombies, cowboy slinging Shang-Chi. Every single part of it I absolutely love. I don't put it on the same tier as WandaVision and Loki. It's more of a throwaway show. It's definitely a show where you can watch for like one episode without watching the rest. Some episodes are much stronger than others. There were some that I was very happy to leave alone, and because the third series starts off way too slow, I'm going to stick it in the A tier. Let's move on to Hawkeye. This show has entered my Christmas watch list. It is a lot of fun. So in this show, we're kind of looking at Hawkeye. We're following him, and we're looking at the consequences of his life during the blips. And it introduces us to the character of Echo, who's one of the characters who's affected. We're also introduced to Kate Bishop, and their relationship was brilliant. The show is a lot of fun. I do enjoy it. As I say, it's become a bit of a Christmas movie, for a Christmas show for me. But again, it doesn't quite reach the heights of Loki or WandaVision. Doesn't quite even touch on What If. It's definitely sort of the same sort of level as I would put it as Falcon Winter Soldier. So I'm going to stick it in the B tier. Next up, Moon Knight. This was the first bit of Marvel IP that I pretty much knew nothing about, and yeah, it was fantastic. Oscar Isaac plays Stephen Grant. That's the first character we meet, but he also plays another character, Mark Spector. He swaps between these two different characters, but also these characters are inhabited, so to speak, by Khonshu. They've become the superhero Moon Knight. Times I'm going like, what am I watching? But it's great. It really works for me. I was really surprised by how much I loved it. I'm glad I came into it with the amount of knowledge that I didn't have, because I think it definitely left me to have an open mind. I do feel at times it kind of lost its way a little bit. It kind of got too many twists and turns, maybe got a little bit too mystical, but overall I really enjoyed it. I hope it comes back for another series. I think it deserves it, so it's going into the A tier. Next up, we got Miss Marvel. Another one where I didn't know a lot about Miss Marvel. I knew she was Kamala Khan, I knew she was an Inhuman, but again, she was quite a new character when it comes to Marvel. And so I was really interested to see what this show would do. What I was more impressed with is not the superhero side of it, but the cultural side of it. I didn't expect to learn so much history in an MCU show. It's a fantastic show. It's a great origin story. It's a lot of fun. It's definitely geared more towards a younger audience, which does make it a difficult watch at times because it's just like, it's a bit of a teen drama. But I think on the other notes, it hits them well. So I'm going to stick this one in the A tier because it's a lot of fun, but it's still not quite on the same level as WandaVision or Loki. Okay, time for some controversy. Here we go. She-Hulk. Jennifer Walters is She-Hulk. And this is an interesting one. She's a Hulk who can Hulk out but retains her personality, who she is. She just basically becomes stronger. The way that this show was received online, I think, is completely unfair. I enjoyed it. I don't think it was the best show. I don't think it was amazing. It's definitely not in the S tier or A tier. But it's fun. It's exactly what it needs to do. We've got Jennifer Walters, who in the She-Hulk comics breaks the fourth wall constantly, doesn't take anything seriously. Tatiana Maslany, who is cast as Jennifer Walters, I love her. If you haven't watched Orphan Black, go watch it. It's phenomenal. And I think she did a great job as She-Hulk. And I just don't understand the hate that this show gets. I think it does have its flaws. I think maybe the ending was a little bit much, but again, it doesn't bother me. It was fun. And that's exactly what it was supposed to be. So even though it wasn't the best at times, I don't think it was that bad. This is going into the B tier as well. I promised you that there was going to be at least one show in the C tier. Only one show in the C tier, and it's this. Secret Invasion. Secret Invasion sees Nick Fury working with Talos and the Skrull against another Skrull threat. And on paper, this should have been brilliant. This should have been a thriller. It should have been a political thriller. It should have been so good. And it starts off so strong in the first couple of episodes. And then it just, I don't know what happened. I can't explain it. It's terrible. The more I watched it, the more I felt, I watched it to complete it. I didn't watch it because I wanted to know what happened next. So many things about this show were terrible. Even just the opening AI credits I didn't like. The needless killing off of great characters like Maria Hill and Talos, hated it. And then the final fight, like literally with that shot of her with Drax's arm, just absolutely no. It's disappointing. It was disappointing because it could have been so much more, and it promised so much more. And for that reason, this is the only one that goes into that C tier. Echo. Look, this one's going to be a very quick one because it's not going to be a one that sort of massively affects the MCU as a whole. It is part of the MCU. We got more Vincent D'Onofrio, which I'm very happy at, more Kingpin. Not a lot happens in it. Not a lot happens that affects the wider MCU. It was fine. I enjoyed it. Didn't think it was terrible. Definitely not as bad as Secret Invasion. Doesn't belong in the air any higher than B tier. So, Echo, you're going straight into the B tier. And last but not least, Agatha All Along. One of the best things that Marvel have done in a long time. Every episode, I needed to know what happened. We were introduced to mysterious characters, a teenager, this coven of witches that she needs to recover her powers, and it's just so well done. Now, I love it. There was a bit of a bait and switch where, it starts off in a certain way and you think, oh, we're just going to be doing WandaVision again. We're doing this crime procedural drama. What will it be next week? Nope. Straight into its own thing. And I'm glad that they did it that way. And as it goes along, all the twists are fantastic. The payoff is brilliant. And it leaves me so excited to see what it can do next. Like, I hope to God that there is a season 2 of Agatha All Along, or at least we see Agatha Harkness with Billy in other places, because where it leaves them, absolutely brilliant. This show had literally no flaws for me. I think it was next to perfect and a brilliant follow-up to WandaVision. So for that reason, it's going straight up into the S tier. Those are my rankings of the MCU TV shows. If you agree with me, let me know. Just put a comment below there. Give this video a like. If you don't agree with them, you know, let me know as well. And if you have made it this far into the video, again, just give it a quick like, hit the subscribe button. Trying to hit 500 subscribers on this channel. Thank you so much for watching, and yeah, see you soon.